browsing. So they know my browsing history, etc. Well, back then, this is 2002, you get a pop-up for a sunflower decorated thing, because the last time, maybe Laci was on the computer a few different times and she was searching for something like that, and they just, boom, here's something you might like, right? So they pop it up. And he was looking at the weather. And why would Laci be looking at the weather in San Jose? That's what he was searching. He was searching for weather in San Jose. He typed in San Jose, weather, whatever, and he was looking at weather. So they're calling that Laci being on the computer that morning because a pop-up ad showed up for 15 seconds that showed a sunflower decorated porch umbrella or patio umbrella. And and I said, hey, even if that was her, which it wasn't, it doesn't prove that Scott didn't kill her. All right, they're saying, oh, when she was on the computer, he was in the warehouse. That's not true. That search happened before he left the house.
Well, and it was something too, but he was searching for he had like a miter saw or something like that. He was trying to put together.
Right.
Yeah.
That was when he went to the warehouse. So he had another computer in the warehouse that he was then looking for instructions on it's a mortizer machine. Yeah. So he's in his warehouse on this, on looking at how to put together this machine. And Richard Cole says on the show, how ridiculous is it that Scott Peterson would be in his warehouse on the computer looking at how to put together this machine with his wife's body in the boat. And I agree with him. She wasn't in the boat. She was already long gone. And then he kept having that nagging worry. What if that tarp I dropped? What about, what if the weights don't hold her down? What if this, what if that? He went back to the scene of the crime. That's what they always do, or most of the time. So that's what he did. He was sitting there and he was brewing about, should I go golfing? And it kept bothering him. And so he just went back out to the bay. Laci was not in the boat, sitting in the parking lot or in that boat while he was on the computer. He had done it the night before.
Do you think he'll get a new trial?
Well, not the only, but one of the many reasons, I should say, that he won't. And I would not, I don't care if he gets a new trial or not, because he'll be convicted again. But the main reason that he wouldn't get a new trial is because of the expense. And it's a very expensive proposition, and California is not exactly loaded with money right now. They're not the kind of state that can just throw away another $1 million on retrying Scott Peterson. They probably have more pressing court trials, more pressing, convictions to worry about, more pressing appeals to worry about than his. I think the appeal request is very weak. To complain about the dog, to complain about Rochelle Neese, to talk about how the boat reenactment wasn't allowed to be done for the jury. And that was preposterous, too. And you talked about it earlier. I mean, I could make a video of me capsizing a boat, but I could also make a video of me rolling a body off a boat. Okay, the fact that he tried to recreate a scenario that he says couldn't have happened anyway, he knew going in that his video would be denied. And when he parked that demo boat in the highly visible lot of his newly acquired office building, he made himself the target of contempt. I mean, Garrigus did some things during this case that were really appalling, and that was one of them.
Yeah, we were talking off the air about how they complain about the media coverage, which I do. Listen, I totally agree, especially when another case. I'm so glad HLN and Court TV are off the air, because it got to the point where they were witness tampering. They were tampering with the juries. That Vinnie Politan doing that show every night. One night it was. We're going to ask the question of the jury: is Jodi Arias evil or just guilty? Not objectivity whatsoever. But and what we were saying off the air, that even Lee Peterson and the mother were holding a press conference after they had a gag order on them.
Right, and I agree with you. I think we should have a system more like the British, who don't allow any press during a trial. I think that would be the most fair way to do it. I agree. But you know what? Our media runs on ratings, and it runs on clicks now, and ad revenue, and we got a 24-hour news cycle, so they have to find something to talk about. And this case was very attractive. It had everything. It had adultery. It had a baby. It had Christmas. It had, good-looking white couple. You're not going to get this kind of coverage if you're a minority. You're not going to get this kind of coverage if you're just a typical poor little kid who gets snapped off the street. Those kids don't get coverage like this.
Hey, what about whether they're trying to say they got that bail bondsman on there? They try to say that this is a high crime area.
Right, yeah, right.
Where did they even find that guy?
Where I live.
Where did they find that? Where did they find that guy? What does he have to do with this? I'm a bail bondsman. Let me tell you what goes on in this neighborhood. What? What does that even have to do with anything?
Well, I called it the gypsies, tramps, and thieves theory.
Right.
And that was, Garrigus was trying to make it look like some kind of tramp, some kind of robber, some kind of burglar, some kind of low-life riffraff had the idea that, they're going to harass this girl walking her dog. Well, first of all, people don't get harassed walking a dog usually. I mean, not a dog like that. And that dog was very protective of Laci, according to all the witnesses who knew Laci and the dog. They said that dog was very protective of Laci. There's no way that that dog would allow anybody to harass her without, making a big fuss. I mean, that's just, those golden retrievers are very, very good.
Yeah, and then they had that Spanish woman who was working in that store selling things, and she says, "Oh yeah, there's a suspicious car out there in front, and I have, it's my big sales night, and I was pregnant. They were going to come kidnap me." Again, that's a whole spontaneous, abduction. That then later on they're going to plant the body, to frame somebody. Just it's too much of a change.
Well, let's there was a woman in Ravenna, Ohio, way back in 2000, I think it was, that stalked a pregnant woman for a while, and she did kill her, but she took the baby. Now the goal was to get the baby. So if someone's going to abduct a pregnant woman, the only valuable thing you would have there would be either a kidnapping where you could hold her for ransom, or you take that baby. So you'd either keep her for another month somehow where she would go to full term, or you'd take the baby early and have the perinatal equipment to keep it alive, or you'd hand it off for, organs or black market or whatever. But the baby was the valuable part of that deal. Laci was not valuable. I mean, I'm not saying that in any, esoteric way, just more like that she wasn't the prize there. The baby was the prize. Mm. So why, if you're going to take a pregnant woman and presumably you're taking it for the baby, why would you kill the baby?
Right. They would want to keep the baby.
Keep the baby. Absolutely. The baby was the most valuable part.
Loretta, we're running out of time. What do you want to leave us with? One last thing about the case, and then tell us about yourself, where people can find you and things.
Well, I mean, I think, will this show give Peterson any sympathy from viewers to demand a new trial? Based on the reviews on IMDb, no. Most people saw it for what it was, which was kind of a slanted sort of media farce, really. And not that it was, it was actually well done. It was probably could have been about half as long. But the fact that so many of the arguments were already addressed either in the trial or in camera or during the, at some point or another during the hearings, there's no way that appeal is going to go through. So, I mean, that's my opinion. Only because, I followed this case as closely as anyone, and if not closer, and I don't think there's any evidence that someone else murdered Laci Peterson. As far as finding me, find me on Twitter at Loretta Dillon. I mostly tweet baseball, but now that the Indians lost, I don't want to talk about it. I won't be tweeting any baseball for a while. And I can also, you can find my book on Amazon. It's very cheap. There's electronic versions of it, Kindle versions of it for a couple bucks. And you will find everything you ever wanted to know about the case in those books.
Are you working on another book?
I'm working on a screenplay.
Oh, that's right.
So if I ever get that worked out, I'll let you know.
Loretta, thank you so much. Okay, and if you think of anything else you want to talk about, give me a call.
Okay, Ed, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, there we had Loretta Dillon, Stone Cold Guilty, The People versus Scott Lee Peterson, Part 2. I enjoyed talking to her because, the case was so long ago, man. I was so trenched in it, and it's funny. And like I said, too, I had a couple of jobs related to that case too. I got hired a couple of times, and then Garagos must have seen my report because then later on he referred clients to me for a while there. Anyway, I haven't heard from him in a long time. I guess people forget me, even if they do a good job. They forget me. Anyway, if you like the show, this is probably going in the member section, but you never know because people cancel on me during the week. I have a show coming up this week with the people from An Open Secret about the child molestation, pedophilia within Hollywood. I have the producers and directors coming on with that. And so this may be playing Friday night. Who knows? It might play Friday night. I also just uploaded a show to the member section about the Art Bell feud and my participation in that and the lawsuit and all kind of stuff. So if this is playing on the air, don't forget the member section. There's a lot of great content in there. If this is playing in the member section, hey, we can use donations. It's a really bad month. I can really, really use funds. If you can help out, please do. Okay, there's a lot of expenses related to this show, and I know people listen to what do you call it, fanatically. And in some cases, I had one guy, man, what a day. It starts. I send him a message on Facebook, then he sends me an email, same thing. Then next thing I know, he's been watching the videos all day long. He's like, emailing me like a lunatic. I've had enough, Opperman. Well, what happened? You liked me an hour ago. Anyway, guys, oppermanreport@gmail.com. If you want to deal in the member section, you want to send a donation, sponsors, I'll give you a great deal if you want to sponsor the show. Play your ad here. If you got an event or a website or a business, a book you're trying to sell, a movie, appearance you're trying to promote. Remember, all these shows on Awake are brought to you by emailrevealer.com. You can go to emailrevealer.com and get a copy of my book, How to Become a Successful Private Investigator. But you also do all the kind of different services for you. An online dating service investigation. It's called an online infidelity investigation. And that's where you give us your husband or your boyfriend, your girlfriend's email address, and we trace it back to their online dating websites, and we return a list of all the dating sites that email is registered to. We can expand on that investigation and trace it back to porn sites, escort service sites, swinger sites, even gambling websites, and even prescription drug websites. If you think your ex-husband or something is addicted to prescription medication or involved in a extreme online pornography addiction, we can produce a report for you that you can use in court. Adoption investigations. If you want to locate your birth parents or your birth child you gave away for adoption, we can do adoption investigations for you. Asset searches for you. Locate bank accounts, hidden assets, hidden properties, hidden income, all different kinds of services in the asset search investigation. Email tracing. If you need to locate or identify somebody from just an email address, we can do an email trace investigation for you, and all kinds of digital forensics, computer and cell phone digital forensics, where we can recover deleted content from an email or a hard drive and produce a report for you that you can use in court. That's emailrevealer.com, or you can contact me at oppermaninvestigations@gmail.com. The Opperman Report is brought to you by SubhashTechnosis.com. Subash Technosis is a search engine optimization and website design company located in India. So you know you're going to save a lot of money and get top quality service to boot. They offer all kinds of services, business process outsourcing, data entry, banking BPO services, recruitment process outsourcing, software testing, offshore research networking, customer care, press release content writing and distribution, and much, much more. They offer website development, e-commerce solutions, mobile responsive designs. Now, I've personally worked with Subhash for over 10 years. This is the man that puts out my press releases. They've done work on my websites, so I can personally recommend SubhashTechnosis.com. You can find a link to Subash Technosis at OppermanReport.com and also AwakeRadio.us. Welcome to our new sponsor.